book friends, this is Kat. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a hybrid of my wrap-up for December of 2024 and for the whole year for 2024. So there's a lot to cover. First things first, I wanted to talk about one book in particular that is going to be carrying over into the new year that I'm still slowly working my way through, and that is The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. My husband and I are slowly making our way through this series. For my wrap-up for December, I read a total of 14 books. Now, if you've seen my TBR video, you know that I have failed my TBR for December, and that is because I decided that I was going to pick up a bunch of Christmas books to try them out and just to get into that holiday feel. So most of these that I'm going to talk about today are Christmas books. So let's go ahead and get started. Within my 14 books that I've read, I DNF'd 3. Had 1 3.5 star read. I had 9 4-star reads and then 1 5-star read. So let's start with the DNFs. And I'm going to go quickly through these. I do have reviews on my Goodreads. So the first book is The Christmas Train by David Baldacci. And I forgot what page number I stopped, but it was pretty early on. And this is the story about a man who takes a train cross country to be somewhere for Christmas. I honestly cannot remember where he was going. I think he was visiting a girlfriend. I'm not sure. But throughout the story, there were just mentions about women, and some of the humor is not the kind of humor that I find funny, and a lot of it can get crude, and it was just not my type of humor. And just some of the jokes he makes, even though he's not serious, I just didn't find it humorous. So the next book that I did DNF is Mistletoe Magic by Fern Michaels, and this is actually a short story collection, and there's 4 short stories. I read the first short story, and that story, it was just about a well-to-do woman. She wants to adopt children, and honestly, I was just bored with it. I skimmed through all the other ones, and it seemed like it was the same woman, if that makes sense, like the same storyline. So the next book that I DNF'd is called The Brightest Star, and it is by the same person. This one I got probably halfway through it, but this one, it was like very focused on like being the skinniest, being the smallest. At least it felt like to me. And the characters in here made fun of another woman's body weight, and it was just mean-spirited. Anyway, I ended up putting this book down. Okay, so let's go ahead to my 3.5 star read, and this one is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, and I'm actually glad that I did read this. This was a story about a woman who has to wear this scarlet letter A because she committed adultery, and the story kind of goes with you trying to figure out who the father is, but it gives you like different perspectives from people, and you kind of see things through the child's eyes, the mother's eyes, and some other people. And it brings up the discussion about like sin and grace and a lot of other things, and even like other stuff too that I'm sure I'm missing. And if you've read this book and you're into classics, you probably can better analyze this book than I can. But I did enjoy my time reading it and discussing it with my husband. Let's just say that we both had different perspectives with the child, how my husband perceived the child and how I perceived the child. It was definitely some great dinner discussions. And yeah, so he does write very lengthy though for me, and it takes a while, but I would say that it is one of the easier reads that I've read with a classic book. So there's that one. Okay, now we're in my 4-star reads, and there's quite a few here. So first one I'm going to talk about is The Christmas Bus by Melody Carlson. And basically, this is just about a small town that is known for Christmas. And honestly, the bus part you hear about kind of in the beginning and then not until like later on. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. I remembered the Christian fiction rating was a 2.5. So yeah. Okay, the next one is The Christmas Candle by Max Lucado, and I adored this little book. It is about this Christmas candle maker, and he and his wife, they make the candles, but every 25 years, I believe, there is this angel that comes, and the angel blesses a candle, and that candle can grant a Christmas miracle for whoever receives it. And I just think this was a heart-touching book. Highly recommend it. And yeah. The next book I want to talk about is The Christmas Angel Project by Melody Carlson. And this one is about a book club group, and one of the book club members dies, and the other members are wondering if their book club will kind of survive because she was the glue to this whole book club. And it's just a sweet story because there is a gift that she leaves them, and thus we start this angel project that they carry out in memory of her. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. The next one I'm going to talk about is The Princess Spy, and this is by Melanie Dickerson, and this is book number 5 in her Hang 9 series, and we follow Margaretha, and she is at that age where she needs to find a suitor, and there's one that she's interested in, but then this other young man shows up to her kingdom, and she's a princess, and he basically says like this guy is not who she thinks he is, like her suitor, and she's trying to figure out the truth. And yeah, enjoyed it as well. The next book is Catching Christmas by Terry Blackstock, and I'm finally happy that I got to this book. It has been on my TBR for a while, but this is about a woman who is elderly, and she hires this cab driver, and basically he takes her around town, and he's pretty cynical about Christmas. And then, he spends time with this older woman. Oh, and the older lady is battling with dementia. So that does play a part in here. And I just want to mention that. I feel like, though, the guy was a little too cynical for my taste, and could be borderline rude. So, there was that. But other than that, it's a quick Christmas read, So the other one that I have is Unexpected Christmas Joy by Gabriel Meyer. And this one, it's about a woman who takes on triplets because her cousin dies. And so this woman, she is a famous singer. She comes to the small town. She tries to take care of these triplets, and she has a decision to either keep them or not, and the story kind of ensues from there. That's all I can remember from it. I really did enjoy it. The next one was The Gift of Twins, also by Gabriel Meyer. This one talks about a young woman who wants to teach in this small town, but she was hired by this town thinking that she was a male teacher, and she's actually a female. And so she's trying to prove to them that she can do this job, and one of the conditions is she can't get married. Then you see the preacher's perspective, and he is left with two twins on his doorstep, and he's trying to find their father. So, really heartwarming story. I did enjoy it. And then the last Gabriel Meyer book that I read out of her Christmas series is Snowden for Christmas. And this one talks about, I think this one's more of a second chance romance. And this one has a young woman. She is at her family's resort, and this journalist is going to come and write about the resort and everything. And when he arrives, they find that they know each other, and the story kind of ensues from there. Very emotional too. The last 4-star read that I have is Where Treetops Glisten, and this is by Tricia Goyer, Kara Putman, and Sarah Sundin, and this is a short stories collection. I really enjoyed this book. My favorite one has to be probably the last one, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, but they were all great. But this is just a collection of short stories of this family, and you follow each sibling and their story during this World War II time period. And yeah, it was just great, and I enjoyed it. Okay, so the last book I'm going to talk about is my 5-star read, and that is Across the Ages by Gabriel Meyer. I am so excited that I finally got to read this book. If you like pirates, if you like 1920s, this is the book for you. This whole series has been amazing. You follow Caroline. She lives in 1727 and in 1927. She's a time crosser. Just amazing. Like, she is living during the time of Prohibition in one life, and pirates in like the pirate time period in the other. I loved it. It was great. Highly recommend. Okay, so I know I went through those really fast and just kind of gave a little bit of a snippet of the books. Again, I will leave my Goodreads information linked down below so you can see a thorough review of why I liked them. Or you can just comment down below and I would be happy to respond to you as well. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about some statistics of this year's reading. So this year I have completed 99 books, which I was one away from 100. But I did try 115 books, but 16 books were DNFs. So I'm not going to go through my DNFs, but it's all in my Goodreads. The number of books that I listened to was roughly about 26 books. So I did have a good audio reading experience this year. And my most read genre was historical, no surprise there. My least read genre, though, was, I put the top 4 because I think it was like one book for each category or something. But according to Storygraph, it was dystopian, thriller, sci-fi, and poetry, which sounds about right. So, the number of 5 stars I gave this year were 10. And I like to be very selective with my 5 stars. Usually if it's a 5-star, I would reread the book, highly recommend the book, and I had some sort of emotional response. I did average, though, a 3.77 star rating this year, which is not a bad rating. 3.5 and higher, it was still a good reading year. Now, my favorite book of this year. This one was hard, and I would link a YouTuber in my channel named Joshi Koren, I think is how you say her name. But she made a matrix, and I think she did it or she got it from somewhere else, but I will link her down below because that's where I saw it. But it's this book Matrix, and what you do is instead of doing like a bracket, you would pin your favorite books of the month against each other. So January to February, January to March, January to April, and you kind of go through that, and you go through a whole like matrix system. And I want to see if I can show you my matrix on the screen, but essentially that's kind of how that looks. And I think I did it wrong, like how I set it up, but it still worked. So I did that instead of my book bracket, so I can get like an idea of what really was my favorite. And no surprise, it's gonna be in the Timeless series, but which one? It was When the Day Comes. This one won by 1 point in that system, and it's just Libby. I loved her story, and I'm not gonna spoil anything, but her story I felt like I connected a lot with, and I just liked the outcome, let's just say, and I think that's what sold me. So that one was first place. Second place was Across the Ages. That one, again, great book. I liked her story. I liked the theme in this book a lot. So there's that one. And then I didn't bring it with me, but the third book, For a Lifetime, got third place. So those were my top 3 books of the year. So now let's go ahead and talk about the best nonfiction of the year. And the best nonfiction has to go to Habits of the Household by Justin Whitmel Early. I love this book. I highly recommend this book. So, okay, I am going to add a book that made me not cry, but really got emotional and like on the verge of crying. And that has to be The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kip. So that book gets that award, so to speak. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about my goals for the year. And so, did I complete these goals or not? My goal of 20 books to read in 2024. Out of those 20 books, there were only 2 books that I did not complete. One was Simple Gifts, and the other one is Digging for Diamonds. So those are 2 nonfictions that I did not get to this year. So I did not complete my goal for 20 in 2024. So in my series, I am in the middle of 9 series right now, and I'll probably add more for this coming year, but my goal is to try to complete series this year. For my A to Z challenge, this is A to Z author last name or first name if I have trouble with the last name. But I also did not complete that. I was missing 4 of those letters, so that's okay. And the last yearly challenge that I had was Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf challenge, and I actually completed that one. So I was very excited to complete one of these. I think I got everything. Oh, I did not tell you my least favorite book of the year, and I'm trying to do my favorite and my least favorite, and it was just a book that got a 1 star, and that is The Elephant's Journey by Jose Saramago, I believe. And this was part of my Read Around the World challenge book, and this one was set in Portugal. Okay, so that was my year in review. And for all the countries that I visited this year, I will put a screenshot or something, but I wanted to make this video quick because I knew it was going to be a long one. So I hope you guys had a great 2024, a great reading year, and we just started a new one, so I'm hoping to read a ton of great books. I hope you guys are having a great rest of your day, and I will catch you in another video. Bye, guys.